Welcome back to another deep dive. You know that feeling when you're, playing a video game for weeks, just grinding away, struggling to beat a really tough level, and then you accidentally hit some bizarre combination of buttons and boom, you just pull up the hidden developer menu.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, suddenly you can see all the wireframes, you can adjust the gravity, turn on God mode. You finally see the actual mechanics of how the whole thing is built under the surface.
Right, you suddenly realize the rules you were sweating over were completely optional.
Yeah.
Well, that is the exact sensation I got going through the massive stack of source material we have for you today.
Yeah, it's a huge stack this time.
It really is. We are looking at an absolute masterclass in human optimization. We've got a YouTube series interviewing multimillionaires, a really detailed audio breakdown on the billionaire mindset, and some heavy-hitting excerpts from Tim Ferriss's book, Tools of Titans.
Which is just a monumental playbook of world-class performers.
Exactly. And our mission today is to distill all of this into the ultimate cheat sheet for human optimization. We are going straight into the developer menu of the ultra-successful. We want to extract the best daily habits, the psychological frameworks, the quirky routines, so you can start applying them today without feeling totally overwhelmed.
And that's an incredibly valuable exercise, as long as we focus on the actual mechanics and not just the mythology. Because when you study billionaires or elite athletes, it's so easy to fall into this trap of thinking they have some inherent, untouchable superpower.
Right, like it's just genetics or destiny or something.
Exactly. But a close read of these sources shows a much more mechanical truth. They don't have superpowers. They've just engineered their environments and their networks entirely differently than the average person.
Well, let's start with that network piece, because before we can even adopt the daily habits of these titans, the forces make it clear we have to completely shatter this massive illusion. It's this cultural obsession with the self-made success story.
Oh, it's a deeply ingrained narrative, especially in business, but it fundamentally misunderstands how scale actually works.
Yeah, and Arnold Schwarzenegger addresses this head-on in his foreword to the Tools of Titans material. And, if anyone has the right to claim this self-made title, it's him, right?
You would think so. Yeah.
Right. He grew up without plumbing in post-war Austria, arrived in America with basically just a gym bag, worked as a bricklayer, and was a millionaire in real estate before he ever even swung a sword in Conan the Barbarian. People constantly call him the ultimate self-made man.
But he completely rejects the label. He states flat out that he is not a self-made man and that he had a massive amount of help.
The vulnerability there is pretty striking. He actually lists out the help, too. He says he might still be yodeling in the Austrian Alps if he hadn't seen Reg Park on a magazine cover. That gave him the literal blueprint.
And then Joe Weider, bringing him to the States and schooling him in business.
Yeah, and this one always blows my mind. Lucille Ball is the one who gave him his first big break in Hollywood on a TV special.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And when you look at the Billionaire Mindset podcast source, they actually formalize this concept. They call it network effects.
Right. The idea that the ultra-wealthy don't just stumble into lucky mentorships. They actively and systematically strategize to build social capital.
Like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett.
Exactly. Gates didn't just happen to know Buffett. That relationship was leveraged. Or look at Peter Thiel and the PayPal mafia. They intentionally built this web of alliances that basically dictated the future of Silicon Valley.
We even see the modern application of this from the YouTube source. They highlight these specific networking events, like there's one called Generational Wealth Day on October 22nd.
Oh yeah, where the whole value proposition is just giving entrepreneurs direct access to world-class investors to ask questions.
Right. It's an event that exists solely to let you ask giants for help. But I want to push back on this for a second, or just ask you about attention here. If no one is truly self-made, does that mean individual grit and hard work are kind of overrated? Or is having the audacity to ask giants for help actually a form of grit itself?
I'd say it's absolutely a form of grit, but the definition of grit changes. The sources call this sovereign thinking.
Sovereign thinking.
Yeah, meaning billionaires view relationship building not as just, casual socializing. They view it as creating alliances that compound wealth and offer strategic independence. You mathematically cannot scale a massive vision without a foundation of mentors.
So the grit is actually the relentless pursuit of that network.
Exactly. But to manage an ecosystem like that, you need a tremendous amount of daily energy. Which brings us to the operational side, how they generate that raw energy. And it all starts before the sun even comes up.
Right, the morning routine, the lead domino. The sources really zero in on the 5 a.m. club routine and this thing called the 20-20-20 formula. They call it the victory hour.
The victory hour, yes. It's a highly choreographed hour divided into three 20-minute pockets.
Okay, let's break it down. So the first 20 minutes, from 5:00 to 5:20 a.m., is the move pocket. It's dedicated to intense, sweat-inducing exercise. Now, I get working out is good, but why at 5 a.m.?
It's all neurobiology. Intense exercise first thing in the morning releases a massive amount of serotonin and dopamine, but crucially, it triggers BDNF.
Wait, what is BDNF again?
Brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It's essentially miracle grow for your brain. It accelerates learning and repairs neural networks. So you are literally optimizing your chemical baseline before most people have even hit the snooze button.
Okay, so you've got the BDNF flowing. Then from 5:20 to 5:40 a.m., you shift to the reflect pocket. This is quietude. Meditation, journaling, and a practice called priming.
Priming is fascinating.
Yeah, the instructions are to take 3 minutes to vividly feel gratitude for two big things and then one very small thing like the wind on your skin. Why the small thing?
Because it grounds the practice in physical reality. It literally changes your biochemistry in real time instead of just being an intellectual exercise.
And then you move to 3 to Thrive, right? Where you visualize 3 things you will accomplish that day as if they're already done.
Exactly. And the final pocket, 5:40 to 6:61 a.m., is grow.
Right, listening to an audiobook, a podcast, or studying battle charts so you don't become obsolete. And this perfectly sets up Tim Ferriss's lead domino strategy.
I love that concept.
It's like bowling. If you just focus on hitting that front pin, which is your morning cognition and energy, the rest of the pins, meaning your daily tasks, just scatter almost effortlessly. You rank your tasks 1 through 5, no ties, and do everything you can on number 1 before touching number 2.
And if you don't do this, if you just wake up and check your email, you're starting the day like a 5-alarm fire. You're letting other people control your schedule.
Yeah, an inbox is just a list of other people's priorities.
Precisely.
But implementing this 5 a.m. thing sounds brutal. Fortunately, the sources cite a University College London stat that says it takes 66 days of doing a habit for it to reach automaticity.
So if you can just survive 2 months, your brain wires it in.
Right. And there's this bizarre but supposedly effective bathroom mirror ritual to help with the mindset. You take 1 minute to look at yourself, set an intention for who you'll be that day, and then, this is the weird part, you seal it by giving yourself a high five in the mirror.
It sounds totally ridiculous, but the physical action of a high five is universally wired in our brains for celebration. It actually silences the inner critic.
That's so strange, but I kind of want to try it. But okay, what happens when the perfect morning routine falls apart? Because the sources show that the true differentiator of a Titan is actually how they handle pain and setbacks.
Yeah, the art of suffering. And Amelia Boone is the perfect case study here.
She is incredible. She's a full-time Apple attorney, but she's also the world's most decorated obstacle course racer. She often beats like 80% of the men she competes against. And she has this great quote, "I'm not the strongest, I'm not the fastest, but I'm really good at suffering."
She weaponizes discomfort. She purposefully does her training runs in the cold and the rain because she knows her competition is opting out and staying inside.
But she also uses all these weird tools, what the sources call PEDs, performance-enhancing details. And the list is wild.
It really is.
She mixes hydrolyzed gelatin with beetroot powder, like beetalate, for connective tissue repair. She uses this thing called a rumble roller, which is like a foam roller crossed with a monster truck tire.
Oh, yeah. Those are intense.
And she rolls her foot on a golf ball placed on a towel just to increase her hamstring flexibility, which sounds like magic.
Well, it's actually about the fascial lines connecting the bottom of the foot up through the back of the leg.
Okay, that makes sense. But then there's dry needling, sticking a needle directly into a muscle belly to make it twitch and release.
It's an aggressive reset for the muscle. Pro cyclist David Zabriskie does something similar with his endurance. He uses saunas to completely replace high-altitude training tents.
Okay, but here's my question. We have all these pristine biological hacks, but Amelia Boone also eats Pop-Tarts right before a race. And there's a story of her doing 423 unbroken jump rope double unders, and she only stopped because she accidentally peed her pants. So are we supposed to be mimicking these weird habits? Are they successful because they eat Pop-Tarts, or is the magic somewhere else?
The magic is absolutely somewhere else. It's the overarching mindset. The specific tool, the Pop-Tart or the golf ball, isn't the point. The point is applying scale thinking to the human body.
Scale fitting.
Yeah, they refuse to accept standard limitations. They relentlessly experiment on themselves. Tim Ferriss calls it the 10% must-keep buffet. You
Right.
try 100 crazy things, throw out 90% of them, and keep the 10% that give you a bespoke edge.
Ah, so it's the willingness to test everything.
Yeah.
And that relentless experimentation translates directly into wealth creation too, right?
Absolutely. When you look at the billionaire mindset lessons, it's the exact same cognitive framework applied to business. It comes down to risk perception and the leverage paradox.
Okay, let's look at risk perception. The sources talk about information arbitrage. Basically, billionaires see danger completely differently than we do.
Right. Information arbitrage is basically having better data and better networks so you know when a risk is actually an opportunity.
Like Warren Buffett investing heavily during market crashes,
Exactly. Or Elon Musk risking everything to build Tesla and SpaceX during the 2008 financial crisis.
which seemed completely insane to everyone else.
To the public, it looks like a massive foolish risk. But because of the leverage paradox, Musk was using his unique capital and knowledge to secure infinite upside while everything was cheap. They play the long game. It's the compound effect. They keep a decade-long vision in a world that is just obsessed with quarterly results.
And speaking of decade-long visions, we have to talk about Peter Thiel's mind-breaking question from Tools of Titans. It's one of my favorite takeaways.
Oh, the 6-month question.
Yes. He asks, if you have a 10-year plan of how to get somewhere, you should ask, why can't you do this in 6 months? Or basically, if you had a gun to your head, how would you do it?
It's such a disruptive thought exercise.
It really is. It's like everyone else is trying to figure out how to win a normal game of checkers, and these Titans are asking, wait, why don't you just redraw the board entirely?
That's a perfect analogy because Thiel's question isn't meant to literally force a 6-month timeline. It's designed to shatter artificial constraints.
Right.
It forces you to shed the societal rules you've just unconsciously accepted, and it makes you realize you actually have the power to renegotiate reality.
So if we strip away all the tactics we've talked about, the massive networks, the morning routines, the beetroot powder, the wealth, what is the core, unshakable philosophy of a Titan?
Well, Naval Ravikant points to a really beautiful answer from Hermann Hesse's book, Siddhartha.
Yeah, the story of Siddhartha wanting to court a famous courtesan. He looks like a beggar, and he speaks to a merchant. The merchant asks what he possibly has to offer since he has no possessions. And Siddhartha just says, I can think, I can wait, I can fast.
It's so profound because in the context of high performance, that triad is everything.
Let's break that down. So I can think means having solid rules for decision-making and asking reality-bending questions like Thiel's.
Right. And I can wait means playing the long game. It's not misallocating resources, it's utilizing the compound effect.
And finally, I can fast, which isn't just about food. It's having a high pain tolerance, withstanding difficulties, and mastering the art of suffering, just like Amelia Boone.
Exactly. Those 3 pillars completely replace the need for inherent perfection. As the sources point out, these titans are not gods. They are literally described as walking flaws who have simply maximized 1 or 2 strengths using this exact triad.
Wow. Think, wait, fast. So to summarize the toolkit you now possess from this deep dive,
Yeah.
you need to build a network to avoid the self-made trap. You need to master the 20-20-20 victory hour to knock over your lead domino. You have to embrace the quirky PEDs that help you suffer better, ask reality-breaking questions, and ultimately master the ability to think, wait, and fast.
It's a completely different way to operate, but I want to leave you with one final provocative thought that builds on what we talked about with habit formation.
The 66 days to reach automaticity.
Exactly. We learned that neuroplasticity means it takes 66 days to wire in a powerful new habit, like the 5 a.m. routine. But neuroplasticity doesn't care if a habit is good or bad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's completely neutral. So it begs the question